Good for you. I say that I'm the heir to Drake's cakes, which I'm not, but
I'm not related to Benny Goodman.
right, you're not. I know. Do you think people ask Benny if he's related to you?
I think Benny's dead.
Oh,
I think it's really hard.
maybe they used to ask him.
No.
Maybe no.
No, look, I think Benny was here before I was. I think by the time Benny was done, I hadn't even begun yet. Did Benny go into the 60s?
I don't know. I don't know when Benny.
I think that...
Benny. It's like Elton John. Benny.
Oh, yeah.
Benny and the Jets. That's different Benny.
Different. Much. Benny, that was a schoolyard Benny.
It could be. All right, Lucky Pennies, pick it up. Okay. With us now on Live It Up is Kenny Goodman. How are you, sir?
I am very well.
Good. We met on Fire Island. So tell us about your shop that you have there.
All right. I've been in Fire Island for, 45 years. And I originally went out to Fire Island in the 60s with friends. I had finished my first year of teaching. A friend and his wife said, give me $300, we're going to Fire Island. The previous summer, I spent on a beach in Brooklyn, Brighton Beach, and it was very crowded. And I do not like the sun or the sand. So going to Fire Island sounded like a good idea. I had been there once with my parents when I was 12 years old. And you got to walk around barefoot. I liked that. It really appealed to me. We went out there. We were 6 friends, 4 fellows and 1 married couple. This was in Kismet. And I just finished my first year of teaching, and I had a whole summer off. And off we went, and I was just Kenny Goodman. I was nobody. I was just a late bloomer. I hadn't done anything. And in the first week, I took a walk to the lighthouse. There's a very well-known lighthouse there, and I found a tree stump. I do not like the sun or the sand. Fire Island is mostly about sun and sand. However, there's a lot of really pretty girls out there, and that was very satisfying to me. And it was the 60s, and it was one big party. Anyway, I brought this stump home, back to the house, and I bought myself a set of carving tools, gouges, and I hacked out a really primitive head on the deck.
Kind of like the Easter Island heads, right? Kind of
been-
like
it's
just a
been
face.
said that.
A
It's
face. Okay.
It was a face, but it was really more primitive. People ask me about my influence. I don't know what my influence was. The only influence I really had was a book I read called The Little Prince, and it was all about imagination. Anyway, I knocked out this head. I loved the labor. I was taken by the process more than the product. The product was primitive. It had holes in it for eyes and holes in it for mouth. But I did come up with the third dimension for a nose. That was really consequential as I think back now. Anyway, I did that in about a week. As the story goes, there was a house down the block from us with 18 girls in it. It was pink and gray, and we referred to it as the Darvon House. This was 1967. Darvon meant a lot. Anyway, this group of girls came over one night for dinner. I don't know if all 18 came, but enough of them came that...
A dozen plus, whatever,
at
right?
least,
Yeah.
At least. And we wound up cooking. We had gotten mussels out of the bay, and spaghetti's a big thing in Fire Island dining. And there was one girl there that was particularly cute. And I had a piece of chalk in my pocket from my teaching days. I just, leftover piece of chalk. The chalk was the same cylinder that the tree stump was. And I did the same thing to it. I wound up making a really primitive little face, a couple of little holes, just like anybody who didn't know what they were doing would make.
What did you carve it with? You had like a little pocket knife or something?
I have pocket knives.
Okay.
I have hundreds of pocket knives. I have a passion for pocket knives. I grew up liking cowboy movies and small pocket knives, tools. And that's what I did it with. I always did. I used to sit in school going back earlier, and I would shave the chalk. I wouldn't cut it. I would shave it. I would make a pile. By the end of the class, I would blow the dust away. And I guess that technique really lent itself towards doing that.
So you carved her a face out of the piece
I
of
didn't
chalk.
carve her. I carved a piece of chalk.
Right, for her.
However, no,
Oh.
not for her, just to do it. However, when I was done, because I thought she was really cute, I gave it to her. And she must have thought I was really cute because the next morning she came back with a set of love beads. We're talking 1967. And overnight, I had a girlfriend and a hobby.
Uh-huh.
And over the next 3 summers, I was still teaching. I would go back to Fire Island. We had switched over to another community, Fair Harbor. And I just kept doing it. And in doing it over and over again, faces, one face after another, I got better at it. I always did it outside. I always did it with a lot of people watching. I always did it with the understanding that each person that asked me how I did it was coming to me new. And it didn't annoy me. It didn't frustrate me. I didn't get annoyed at them. I just answered them. And in addition, I kept making those little chalk figures. They were also all faces. My closest friend, I grew up with him. His name was Peter. He was in the house with me, and he was going to NYU dental school. And at some point along the way, he said, you know, we could duplicate those. We could make copies of those. We could make a rubber mold, and we could cast them. And I remember going to a dental lab with him. I think the name of the lab was Lifelike. Today it's a very, very big lab. But at the time it was being started.